I think of all of our colleagues, we're looking for three of our colleagues, Dr. Camilla Gant, who has already seated herself, Dr. Diane Hoff, and Mr. T.J. Peel. And what they're going to be doing for us for the next 45 minutes is presenting on their department SMART goals and how they have linked those goals to our institutional strategic plan. We'll just go in the order of presentation. I won't jump up and down and introduce. We'll begin with Dr. Gant, move to Dr. Hoff, and then Mr. Peel at the end. So Dr. Gant?
Good morning, everyone. I hope my voice will hold out. I have a little scratchy throat this morning. But I want to focus my portion of the session on looking at the process that I go through in terms of working with the faculty to collaboratively set goals for the year. And the reason I wanted to start at that point is I have found in some of the workshops that I've attended that that was the most meaningful part for me, to kind of know the how, in addition to, as we'll take a look shortly, of the outcome of that process. But I also just want to take a quick moment to say that it has been equally as important to me to have role models and mentors who will actually allow me to work alongside them and to see that process. And one of the first ones, which I was so glad to see her here because I thought she was on leave, is Dr. Gagnon. Did I see her? Is she still here? So I served under Dr. Gagnon as a director, and she was the chair when we were a combined department. And one of the first things that she did is she says, I want you to understand what's happening, what's going on, whether it was budgeting or whatever we were working on, any reports. And that was so valuable to me, so that when I had an opportunity to step into the role of a chair, it was a very smooth transition because she had modeled and mentored me in that way. So I just want to say thank you. And then my current dean, who gave me an opportunity to become a chair. You know, she came in and she had to make those decisions, national and national searches, internal searches, literally calling every person in the department in to ask about potential candidates. And so she gave me that opportunity, and I have just learned so much under her leadership, and so I do want to thank her as well because she has been a very good model, but also a mentor, always bringing all department chairs in on the conversations for the process, and I think that's so important. So today what I want to do is look at the, share a little bit about the process. I want to share a little bit about the let's go back. Okay. I want to share a little bit about the process that we go through in the Department of Mass Communications. So on your table, you should have a handout. And what I wanted to do, because I knew it would be difficult for you to kind of see it up here, but I just pulled some excerpts of some documents that we start with. So when getting ready to set the goals, the first thing that I do is I refer back to some really critical documents. And so you can see here my starting place are with any plans that we have in place already. And it's at the base, in part because it's the foundation of what we do, but it is also at the base because just in terms of chronology, this is where I really start. I go back to say, what is it that we as a faculty have agreed that we would be about? So each of these documents, these are collaborative documents that we have at the department level. And I would say that if you're an academic department and you say, oh, you know, I don't have an assessment plan, or I don't have a diversity plan, or I don't have a strategic plan, that can become your goal to actually establish those. So it's okay if you don't have it, but we started at that point 3 years ago when we became an independent department. So that was our first goal, was to start developing these plans, because these plans literally guide what we do throughout the year. And so what you have on the table, for instance, under the strategic plan, I just pulled out one action item. So our strategic plan has several action items, But I know that we cannot, as a department, accomplish all of that in a year. So it's called the Swiss cheese method that I learned at some time management workshop. And the idea is if you poke enough holes in this overwhelming task that you have, and so each one of these, the strategic plan or the diversity plan or the assessment plan, is pretty overwhelming. You can't do everything in those plans in 1 year. So the idea is you just take certain action items and you say, this is what we're going to focus on this year. And the goal is to try to do that really well. It's better, in my opinion, to do a few things really well than to have many goals or action items and we're kind of average or we're missing the mark. So on this sheet, this is now me from a department chair looking back at our plans and saying, what are we going to focus on for this year? So if you look under the strategic, that letter A from the strategic plan, we're only focusing on 2 action items this year. So you can see action item 2 and action item 5. And if we don't complete it, well, we do an honest assessment and we will just continue on next year wherever we left off. And then you can see under letter B for our diversity plan, and you do have to flip over, we're only working on 1 action item from the diversity plan, just 1. The goal is by the end of the year, we will not only do it, but do it really well. But then, as I go through some of the trainings, a lot of people, they stop right there at that bottom part. I want to kind of shift now to the middle one, and that's where you have your fiscal year 14 goals. It is so important to have continuity from 1 year to the next. So when you set your goals, the reality is when you go back and evaluate or assess how well you did on those particular goals, you may find you have to make some tweaks. You may find that for whatever reason, some items were incomplete. And so what I like to do, my next stopping point, is to go back and look at those fiscal year 14 goals and say, okay, how well did we do? What is it that we need to continue to put more attention on? So if you look at letter C, what I did is just went into the system and pulled these out of the annual report that we have in the system, so you have it. And the first 3 there, those are actual goals that we had for this past academic year. But the little paragraph underneath there, it tells you basically, here are some concerns we had, some things that we really do need to relook at. We need to revisit. We didn't do as well in some areas. Other areas we did really well, and we realized we need to take the next step. And so now, before I can set fiscal year 15 goals, I also want to pull from there, and you'll see all of this come together in a moment. And then there are some goals that are imposed on us, and I call those operational goals. So you have your, for fiscal year 15, there are some things that are going to come up. We as a department didn't set these, but that is my reality. So what I've got to now do is also account for these other major initiatives. And we just came from our department retreat. We have been doing this since I became chair. So this was the 4th year that we did it, because I think I started mid-year. But we take 2 days. We get away from campus. We get really good state rates. We just rotate to some different areas. And we take 2 days and have workshops and really intensive dialogue, and then wind down in the evenings and just enjoy each other so that you build those relationships. But what's really happening at those meetings too is I am sharing with the department my take on what we need to focus on. They are able to share and collaborate, help me tweak. And then we talk about what's coming down for fiscal year 15. And so this year, I could just see their faces thinking, how are we going to do this? But if you look under letter D, you see that I distinguish between operational goals. These are things that we absolutely have to do. Oftentimes, the operational goals will overlap with the strategic, and that's really good. Sometimes they don't, but we still have to do them. And so we know that at sometimes in December, we're going to have to address any of those SACS recommendations. So I'm already reading through the report, and as soon as I get the go-ahead from my upper administration, then we'll be prepared as a department to begin to work on that. This year is the year for the College of Social Sciences to undergo comprehensive program review. We just have to do it, okay? This year is also the year where we have been asked to develop our action plans based on our analysis of the Engage West results. And again, at the strategic retreat, we had one session where we just looked at our results. And so while I didn't leave with a written action plan, I did leave with what we're going to focus on. And I made a promise to them I'll write it up, get it back out to you, and I hope to have an action plan relatively early in the year. And then this is the year of reviews. I'm being reviewed for post-tenure review, for chair review. I know that we'll have to participate in our dean review. We have 3 candidates up for third-year review. So this is a lot of reviews going on. So you need to have all of that, you know, before you set these fiscal year 15 goals. You've got to account for all of this. And then we have some things as a department that we say that strategically, if you look back on the first page where we have our strategic priorities, we really want to this year initiate this application with our accrediting council. So you see that listed. And then something I've been wanting to do as a department chair is to launch a professional board. And so I've been gathering data and having conversations, but I need to get it done. And so these are some goals of mine too. So it's a lot of information, right? And now we have to set the fiscal year 15 goals. So I wanted you to kind of understand this process that I'm going through, and then this is the end product. And one thing that I want to share up front is that this end product did not account for everything on this list you have, but about 90% of it is captured here. So those other items that you don't see come up in these goals, then that means in my little black book, and I'm still on the black book, I do you know, the smartphones and all of that, but not for my agenda. I just like to have it. So in my little black book, every week I write for myself operational goals and I write for myself strategic goals. So those items on here that you don't see here, they are still accounted for. They're just not going to be part of this. And so an example of that will be all of those faculty reviews. They will happen. I'll schedule them in, but you won't see them here. So I'll just go through these real quickly. So we're going to assess the program effectiveness and program learning outcomes. And you see how I captured 3 right there according to the SACS recommendations, the CPR, and our ACE JMC standards. And then what I like to do is to just state which ones these support, so that SI there is strategic imperative 2. Cost, again, has been a wonderful model for me to follow. It has a strategic plan in place. So then I tie it to the goals and costs, and then we have our own strategic plan, and I tie it to our goals. And then the second one, to perform the second phase of curriculum mapping, that one came from things incomplete from fiscal year 14. So you can see that what we're going to do now is do some curriculum mapping to make sure that awareness, understanding, and application is occurring across courses, required courses, and different course levels. Our first phase did not account for that. It's only 5 goals. I'll be really quick. The recommendation is try to keep them 3 to 5 is what I've been taught. But number 3, we want to devise and execute a plan of action to build on our strengths and explore opportunities for development relative to the Engage West survey. So that's that whole session we held to say, what are we going to do with these results? So we've worked that in. Number 4, we want to track our departmental partnerships and establish a baseline to inform both our strategic and diversity plans, because we have partnerships tied in each one of those. And we're already at about 70 partnerships, so it's not that we're doing bad, but you know what? We probably have been at about 70 for 3 years. So we need to have the baseline, and we need to build on it. We want to grow. And then the 5th and final goal is to devise and execute a communication plan to roll out to our students, because we have done a lot of changes, to let them know about the concentrations, the 4- and 6-year plans that we've done, and then the new minor that we're launching. So this really helps focus me. It really helps focus the department. I was very pleased on the Engage West survey to see that missions and goals for both the department and the college, they were amongst the highest ratings for our department because they have clear direction. And I always say I attribute that to our leader, Dr. McCandless. She sets that model again for us to follow as a department chair, and it almost correlated beautifully in terms of the ratings they gave the college and the ratings that they gave the department. The final slide is just some other resources that I have found very helpful. Really encourage the retreat if you can do that, mainly for academic departments. Even if you just have to stay on campus is fine. You just need some time to dialogue, think, and interact with each other. In fact, the faculty this year said, can we do 3 days? And I thought they were teasing, and at the end they said, we would like to do 3 days. And I said, okay, well, I'll get on that. So the college level training, our dean did it. I think that's very helpful because it gives everyone an opportunity to be on the same page. She actually brought in a facilitator to actually show us how to do mission, vision, goals. And again, I hope you're hearing how important it is to have that role model and that mentor in place, so then you have a pattern to go back and follow. And then the last one, highly recommended. I've been there 3 times. I will be going back this year, thanks to my dean. She's going to take all the chairs. She paid for us last year, but not everyone made it due to weather, so she's going to take us this year. But there's a conference called Academic Chairpersons Conference. It's sponsored by Kansas State University. You can look it up for the dates and location. But wonderful sessions. You have very good, solid, practical takeaways. And that's also a good investment, I guess, if a dean wanted to either send all chairs or groups of chairs in cycles. So I think we'll take questions at the end, and thank you so much.
Which of these buttons do I push?
Push this one to go right, and that's the light.
Okay, thanks. All right. Let me see if I can get this out. Good morning, I'm Diane Hoff. My short presentation here represents the talented group of faculty and staff members who work together to come up with a plan for the College of Ed and set our goals. And one of my purposes here today is to talk to you a little bit about how we moved our goals from just regular old goals to SMART goals, or maybe from dumb to smart, however you might want to say it. All right. There was a confluence of events that caused us to come to this place in the College of Education. Last year, we decided to write a strategic plan. There hadn't been one written for many years in the college. It was sort of out of date. We're much more data-driven. We do a data retreat every year to look at our results. So we needed a new strategic plan, which we accomplished. But then we thought, oh, we have a new president coming. Maybe we'll just use it as a guiding document for a year. And then once the new president comes, he's very likely to have some ideas of his own, and we'll try to align it. So we did that. Then, as we thought, UWG did a wonderful job making a new strategic plan for this institution. And then the third thing was we had an Engage West survey, and the results of that also told us some things that we needed to accomplish. So this summer, we overlaid those 3 documents. What did we need to work on in the college from the Engage West? What did we already have established in our strategic plan? And what were the 4 imperatives of the president's and UWG's strategic plan? And we aligned these to do a new draft that now will be in the official approval process with faculty governance and everything this year. Can you make it go? Oh, thanks. All right, so there's 4 strategic imperatives, as I said, Engage West, CO objectives, and we ended up having almost perfect alignment with student success, partnership success, program success, and operational success, and we have about 4 or 5 goals under each one. So our next task was, are they SMART? Truthfully, most of them were not. They were strategic in many cases, but often not measurable, or measurable in real squishy ways. They were often attainable, but we didn't define over what period. You know, we gave ourselves way too much wiggle room to say, well, we're kind of working on it, we'll get to it when we get to it. Most of them, I guess I would say, were realistic. Some were timely, some we had to question. Are they still timely? So those were the filters we used. And I'm going to give you an example of what we did. I thought one example would show the kind of the results. So the example that I'm using is one of our goals that kind of aligns with our CCG and other goals, and it is that COE programs will support Georgia's shortage of educators in critical needs fields, including STEM education. Georgia has an official list of those areas where they cannot find enough teachers. They're pulling people in and saying, teach for a year and we'll try to find a real math teacher or physics. These are, STEM areas are one of the most critical needs fields in Georgia, and we weren't doing very much to help fill that need. So that is the goal that we set for ourselves, that we're going to really increase in this area. Our goal then, so then that's our goal. How we're going to measure it is the number of STEM education graduates will increase 20% UWGs by 2018. So then we applied this filter, as we did with all of our goals. Is it small? Is it strategic? We think it is, because this, we're trying to serve our state and region as a university that's funded by the state. This is an identified critical need. We think this is a really strategic goal. Is it measurable? Yep. We say we're going to increase STEM education graduates by 20% by 2018. Is it attainable? We think it is attainable because UWG, in collaboration with College of Ed, with College of Science and Mathematics, we are a UTeach site. This is a nationally acclaimed program that only a few schools in Georgia have, and we're by far the biggest. So people are looking at us to see if we can get this done. We think that helps us make it attainable. We're following a national model that has had a lot of success in other states. Is it realistic? We think it is, because we have 192 students in the pipeline. We're hoping a good number of those will stay in the education side of the STEM education and become teachers. And is it timely? Yes, we think it is, because right now there's a shortage of science and math teachers in Georgia. But you know, when there was a downturn in the economy, many teachers didn't retire. They were worried, as you know, everybody was. So there's been a real slow hiring pace in teachers. But now, as the recovery is starting to happen, the anticipated number of retirements of teachers in Georgia is, you know, off the charts. So although we have a gap now, we think it's even going to be larger. So we think that this goal is an example of one that is strategic, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. We did this for all of our goals. So for example, this is an example of a goal we have for student success, but we also have goals for program success. For example, we're really looking at how to manage our growth in our 2 doctoral programs that are soaring. We have some innovations. We're the first college in the state of Georgia that has a classroom simulator. How to do that, how to measure whether it's helping teachers. We have some other programs that are taking off in new directions. So as you can see, the trick was not saying what we wanted to do, but how would we know that we were making progress? And that's where the concept of a SMART goal really helped us, I think. So we've checked all of our goals to make sure they're SMART. We've put a metric to measure them. We've put some sub-steps. In some cases, you can't jump right to the goal. You got to have some steps. So some have some sub-steps that have to be achieved. And we've got that written into the COE strategic plan. All of the faculty and staff now are making final edits and revisions and suggestions. And we're getting a lot of good ones, just, you know, questions, additions. This will be finished by the end of this month. And at our first faculty governance meeting, our strategic plan will go to the faculty governance approval process. And we're really, really pleased that I think we've improved it in significant ways by taking goals that were squishy and making them smart. So that's it for the College of Ed. Do you want this loose or?
Oh, you can leave it there.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. All right. My name is TJ Peel. I'm the Director of University Recreation. And in University Recreation, we're a little bit unique because we operate the Campus Center, but then we have all of these fun things like, not that the Campus Center is not fun, but we have all of these great things like intramural sports, outdoor recreation, group fitness classes, those types of things. So we have, very unique but and different charges within University Recreation, and we've got to figure out how to merge all of those things together as a department and work together to accomplish university goals. So my presentation takes part of the programs piece, the intramural sports, outdoor recreation, group fitness, those types of things, and just gives you an example of some goals we set around that. But it really does, per Dr. Lingrel's scorecard, play into the Division of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management goals and missions as well. And so just wanted to show you that relationship and the process that I, as the director, went through to try to simplify the process for our staff, some of those who may not have experience with SMART goals, much like myself, to be honest. And so hopefully this helps you understand the process we went through, but maybe help you in your processes as well. So our mission statement within University Recreation, and that's kind of where we started, is to inspire, empower, and educate the university community by providing comprehensive, high-quality, student-focused programs, facilities, and services that create community, connectivity, and develop exceptional leaders who value and embody healthy lifestyles. That's what University Recreation, that's what we feel like we do, that's what we feel like we contribute to the university, okay? And so that was our starting point. The next thing I wanted to do was create a guide, okay? So if I hand this task down, we establish the goals of the department, and then I hand it down to our functional areas within University Recreation. How are those people going to really know what to do with this if they've never done it before? So I consulted my friend Google and found a guide, okay? And we have these great advanced degrees, and here I am Googling to find a guide. But it really did help me, to be honest again, and then our staff as we created our goals. Then I created a template, okay? What if I've never done this before? What can I do to kind of keep this as simple as possible and almost have a cell, as a template would do, to fill in information so I can really stay on track, but also as a department make sure everything we do in terms of SMART goals is consistent. So I created this template. Again, Google was my friend. And this is an example of a departmental goal that we came up with. And that was to increase participation in intramurals, fitness, and outdoor recreation by 10%. You'll see the measurable piece. And it was attainable, we felt, because we could work with the program staff to establish what barriers may be in place currently to participation, to then tackle those barriers. This is, again, at a departmental level. So in meetings and so forth with professional staff within the unit, because we just know those barriers, and we know there are some, are the limiting factor right now to achieving this goal. And then we have measurement tools in place, okay? We have software packages, head count capability, those types of things to really eventually measure our success, where we are now, where we hope to be, and that's why we feel it's realistic and relevant at the time. And we hope to complete it during this academic year. And the next piece is an example of how, okay, we established the departmental goal. Now what did the functional area do to create a goal to help the department establish, to help the department with the departmental goal? What can the functional area do? And so we have a marketing communications department. The Assistant Director of Marketing Communications, Melissa Ward, so many of you probably know Melissa, but did an outstanding job with her functional SMART goals. And since we had the departmental goal of increasing participation, Melissa looked at herself and said, what within my functional area can I do to help this departmental goal, ultimately the student affairs goal, the co-curricular piece, as you saw on the scorecard, and that was to increase social media awareness, right? If our students know that do our students know that these are possibilities, these programs out there? But then when they do know, we believe that they can get involved, and the more we stay in their ears about it, especially through the social media piece, that they will eventually participate and contribute. So this is what marketing and communications can do to help us achieve the departmental goal. And of course, it was to the student success piece, but we wanted to increase it by 20%. And we have a designated Hootsuite feed, and Hootsuite is a management software that helps you manage all of your software, your social media. Excuse me, your social media platforms. Hootsuite helps you manage those, and so if we use Hootsuite, send regular tweets and those types of things, make it more automated, we feel like we can do a lot better with that. So that's what Melissa was able to do. And we hope to do that by spring of 15. And these are a few suggestions I have for you, created for you. First was to create a template. The second piece is to use Google Drive, and what we were able to do with that is take the university strategic plan and actually map out what everything we do within university recreation is and how it may relate to the strategic plan, or in some cases may not, and then start kind of creating our goals around that. But I just wanted to point that out, as that can be, those types of things can be a supporting document that everyone within your department can use and refer to easily, because they all have access to these types of documents, but it also helps to keep things organized. The KISS principle, most of you know what that is, but it's keep it simple, stupid. And so that's the way I like to operate. Why overcomplicate this if we can just create a template, try to communicate on the same platform, keep things consistent. And so I like to use the KISS principle. Consult Google with questions. I know you got to be careful with Google. Not everything out there is true. But if you have great supervisors like I do, that you can run this stuff by to make sure you're on the right track before you put it out there in front of the entire leadership team, that's great. So that's what I do. And 3 to 4 SMART goals to cover the broad area of responsibility. We all do so many things, but what are those overarching themes? And the 3 to 4 SMART goals, we try to keep it to as a department, but also our functional areas, I think, really helps us make sure that every day we're not worried about where am I with this goal, but periodically we can refer back to and make sure that we're strategizing and doing daily activities that help us accomplish those goals. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is a guide. We can learn from this. There could be multiple iterations, and as we move along, I think it can be better and better each year. So just don't put too much pressure on yourself to make it perfect. If you have questions, want a copy of the template or anything like that, there's Google, but you can also email me, and I'll be happy to share it. And the final thing, I will be remiss not to share our social media handles. And so these are those right here. And a final thing is I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the Campus Center piece, especially because all of this going on today, our fine student staff and professional staff member Stephen Delaney, who's the Assistant Director of Facilities and Events. He has a graduate assistant, Kayla Strozier. But a lot of this, they spent a lot of hours making this type of thing happen for you guys. We feel it's important for the university. We have bought in and are really excited about it. But if you don't mind just giving a round of applause for those people who have made it happen.
Thank you, colleagues. And we're actually ahead of schedule by about 5 minutes, so this might be the appropriate time to ask if anyone has a question regarding SMART goals. Don't leave yet, colleagues. There has to be one question. None? Okay, well, let's give our colleagues a round of applause. Thank you so much.